The only way you can be able to pass any prop firm in 2025 is to simply understand how to distribute the risk attached to that particular prop firm. That means if you want to cash out from any prop firm, you want to simply understand how you can be able to distribute the risk from that prop firm. And I'm going to show you how to do it in this video. But before we go into that, if you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Divine and I'm a Forex trader. What I basically do on this channel is document how I trade and as well show you the mindset behind my strategy. If you want to see content like this, I want you to smash the subscribe button, like this video and drop a comment. I'll be right back. For you to have clicked this video, I assume you already know what a prop firm is. That any company that is willing to give you money for you to use their money and trade is simply referred to as a prop firm. Any company that is willing to give you money for you to use their money and trade is simply referred to as a prop firm. And for this company to give you this money, they have to put you through a challenge that is in phase 1 and phase 2 using a particular rule. That means there's a rule you have to follow for you to be able to pass this challenge, so they can be able to give you what? A live account or the money you're looking for. And most times, most prop firm can simply tell you that for them to give you that money, you have to be able to make at least 8% and 5% in phase 2. That means in phase 1, you have to make 8%, and in phase 2, you have to make 5% using this rule here that you don't have to lose 5% in a day. That means you don't have to lose 5% of the money you're requesting for in a day, and overall you don't have to lose 10% of the money you're requesting for overall. For you to be able to pass the challenge, you want to simply understand how to distribute the risk that is attached to this prop firm. And in this case here, this is the risk. And this is the what? Target. Your ability to meet this target is simply knowing how to distribute the risk attached to this particular prop firm. And I'm going to be showing you how to distribute this risk in this video. Now, let's assume you go to this prop firm or this company and tell them that you want them to give you $5,000. $5,000. And this prop firm is telling you that for us to give you this money, we want you to pass phase 1 8%, which is simply what? You have to make 8% of $5,000, which is what? $400. That means the prop firm is telling you that for them to give you this account, you have to first of all pass phase 1 by simply making what? $400. And for phase 2, which is 5%, you have to simply make what? $250. This is your target for you to get this particular account or this money you're looking for. And for you to achieve this target, you want to follow this rule here. And the rule says that you shouldn't lose 5% in a day. 5%, which is equivalent to what? $250 per day. That means any day you come to the market to trade, you should not lose up to $250 for that day, right? And overall in the account, you shouldn't lose what? 10%, which is what? $500 overall. This is the what? The risk. That if you want to pass this particular challenge, the only way you can pass this challenge is by simply understanding how to distribute the risk, both technically and psychologically, for you to pass or meet these targets and then get your life account or real money, your money. I'm going to show you how you can be able to distribute the risk in this particular account and be able to cash out from any prop firm in 2025. Remember, our interest now is simply the risk, and the risk is going to give birth to what? To the result or targets. Now, if I'm to distribute the risk in this particular prop firm or in this particular case example here, the risk here is simply what? That we have to make, we don't have to lose $250 in one day, and we don't have to lose what? $500 overall. What this means is this, that this is simply our capital, and we are going to divide this place by 2, and this place is simply our reserve. Now, the capital is simply capital here. Is simply what we're going to use to simply apply our technical analysis to make money. And the reserve here is simply what? 250, that will enable us to be able to what? Stay calm and not be under pressure to make trade, because this reserve here is keeping us psychologically in check while we're working with what? The capital, right? Now, having understood that the capital here is simply what? 5% daily drawdown. For us to distribute this particular capital technically here, we're simply going to be saying we're going to be risking 1% per trade. 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and 1%, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% in total of what? Our daily drawdown. Are you following? Now, what's the next thing to do? We have simply distributed our percentage. Let's distribute the cash. Meaning that for every 1%, we're simply having what? $50. For every 1%, $50. For every 1%, 50. 50, and for every 1%, we have $50. Right? And this reserve here is keeping us calm, keeping us in check, that we don't have to worry about the next cash. That this place is simply giving us emotional consideration that we are mentally stable. Now, what is the next we want to do? We already have a strategy that tells us we are going to be risking 1%, and we have a good strategy that we're going to use in the market, that for every setup that is in the market, we're going to get a 1:3 risk to reward, right? A 1:3 risk to reward. That means we are risking 1% to get what? 3%. That what it basically means. And let's assume on the first trade, or let me say on the first week, this is what? Week 1. Week 1. We took our first trade and we had a loss. Second trade, we had a loss. Third trade, we had a loss. Fourth trade, we had a loss. Now, because we understand that we have a reserve we can use, and if you go for the next trade and have a loss, we have blown the account. We're simply going to wait till the next day and probably use this lifeline here to activate the next week, which is simply what? Week 2, right? And automatically, we have lost minus 4% from our account. We are down minus 4%. Now, let's assume the next week again, we're coming to the market and we're basically working with the same factor we're using. And the first week we had a loss, the second day a loss, second trade a loss, and the fourth trade we had the win, and the fifth one we had a loss. Now, in this case here, we are simply still down with what? Minus 1%. Why? Because this 1%, 1%, 1%, and this 3% took out all the losses, and then we're down what? Minus 1%. That means overall on the account, we are down minus 5%. But we still have more lifelines to be in the market. And the next week, which is what? Week 3. Now I'm giving you the worst scenario that can happen, like the worst scenario. Some people can be lucky and then the first week they make crazy wins and then probably make plenty money and pass the first phase. Now I'm giving you the worst scenario that can happen, that if you are bad as trader, as bad as it is, this is what can happen. That you've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trades and you only had one profit or you had only one win, but you are still being able to be in the account because you have not blown the profit yet. Now on the week 3, we had maybe a loss, a win, maybe a loss, right? On the week 3. Automatically means that for the week 3 here, we are able to make what? Plus 3%, right? And we are still, we're not down what? Only 2%, right? And we are still down 2% from the initial balance. Follow me carefully. Now let's assume on the next trade, we had maybe a loss, a win, a loss. Maybe here you play that for that week, like this on the week 4. On the week 4, we had 3 wins and 2 losses. Automatically, we have made what? Plus 7%. Why? Because 1%, this is 6, and then this is 1 here. Simply what? Plus 7%. That means overall in the market here, we are simply what? 5% up, because we had a very great week that gave us this particular percent, and this has been cancelled. We are left with 5% up in that profit. Now we simply need what? 3% to pass this phase 1. And maybe on the 4th week here, on the week 5 here, we had a loss, maybe a win, and maybe another win here. But as it can be, we had a loss. Simply means at this particular place here, we're only down minus 4%. This is the worst thing that can happen. And maybe in the week 6, we had a win, a loss, a win, maybe another loss here. Right? We are simply what? Up 3%, which is 7% is here already. And maybe in week 7, worst scenario, we just make small money and then 8% we have passed the first phase. This simply has to distribute losses and wins to a particular profit for you to be able to pass the phase 1. And the same principle, the same step for phase 2. And it's very easy if you know what you're doing. This will be all for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.